Alright. What's happening, folks? Gigi here for another live edition of our B-Sides and Rarities show. And tonight, we're just gonna kind of hang out tonight. And we've got a few people that want to call in and hang out at some point. And no specific topic, no specific anything. Well, there is one specific topic which
friend that I have,
which Daryl, who I'm about to bring on in just a second, she apparently heard some amazing information about Antarctica. So we'll get her on here in just a second. Before I bring anybody on, by the way, all of you guys that are, I've got all of you muted, just in case you're not aware. So just hang out for a second. I'll bring you on in a minute. So earlier today, we launched the first part of our mini-series, which is called Something to Think About from Dr. Richard Allen Miller. And what that is basically is, so me and Rick were talking earlier this morning for a long time. And then after the conversation, he sent me an email, which was basically one chapter of a book that's pretty old, but very relevant. And, oh no, is this happening? Is this really happening? Oh no. That's weird. Why can't I, Okay, so Dennis is calling in. It won't let me... Oh, wait. Oh, Daryl... Okay. Wait, what happened? What just happened there? Alright, anyway. Apparently Skype decided to start sucking right now.
About tonight.
By the way, Daryl...
Do you even know what OnStellar is?
Wait, what's okay, hold on. Let me fix this. Something's playing in the background. Alright, we're off to a really good start here. Let's see. Damn, I don't know what that is. Okay, let me close that. Let's see if that fixed it. Alright, that did fix it. But you know what did not fix anything is Skype. God damn it, Skype. Seriously, fuck you, man. You guys are just so fucking stupid. Why would you not let me merge the fucking incoming call, especially when the call-in number that we have, we bought from you? What's the point of having a call-in number when you can't merge the call? Seriously, Skype. Get your head out of your ass, get out of the rock that you're living under, and look at what you're fucking doing. Anyway, sorry folks, that shit just really pisses me off. Alright, so let me try to add Dennis back in here, because I know he tried to call in. Wait, up. Yeah, right? Wow, this show is off to a terrible start. Wow, it won't even, let me add him. That's really interesting. Okay, hold on 1 second, folks. Let's get this whole thing together. Add people. The guy that just called, his name is Dennis. Why is his name not showing? All right, here. Hey, Daryl, I'm going to have to hang up on you for about 20 seconds. Okay. And then I'm going to add you back in, okay?
No problem.
All right. Cheers. Well, both of those things failed. Okay, well, let's get back here. All right, so that didn't work. Oh, that's probably why. Okay, well, now let's try this again. Jesus, I swear to God, if I ever choke my way up that corporate ladder and actually figure out who's behind all this Skype shit, man, I've got a word to say with them. It's still... What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Man, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot understand my pain. You have no idea what I'm dealing with right now. This is really crazy. Okay, once again, Daryl, I'm going to hang up with you for... Oh, okay. Now I can merge a call all of a sudden? What the fuck? Man, I can't wait to talk to these people at Skype. These fucking morons. Anyway, so we should have Dennis in here now. Hey, what's up, Dennis?
What's going on?
Yeah, sorry, Skype decided to be a fucking idiot and wouldn't let me add you. So, sorry about that.
You have to accept my invite first, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I just thought I figured out.
That's what you just did. That's right. And now we're speaking. Okay.
Well, it's kind of crazy that we've never been connected. All right, somebody else is calling in now, too. But I'm not, see, we're not connected, right? So I got to,
accept invite. Accept their freaking damn friend request, whatever.
Yeah, why? I guess I'm going to have to,
Is this B-side? Is this B-side or is this your A-side? Like, what, like...
Oh, no, this is definitely B-side.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me text her.
There we go.
Anyway, but while I'm doing this, Daryl,
Yes.
can you go ahead and share what apparently you heard some interesting information about Antarctica today. Do you want to go ahead and start sharing that while I get all this bullshit worked out?
Sure, Gigi. Well, before I mention that, I want to just say that as far as the AI of YouTube goes, and I'm talking about when I first got a computer, when I first played with YouTube, they always really recommended stuff that was so on the money, it was uncanny. I mean, I'm talking when I was innocent and I was just looking for Michael Jackson when he was like, a little boy to sing I Want You Back, and how many videos that were so raw and live did they provide me with? Based on what you watch, we recommend this. So this is how I kind of get a lot of the information I find out about, other than, listening to live podcasts of people I love and respect, is the AI that recommends stuff that knows what I like, and they really know what I like. And they provide me so many fascinating, interesting information and videos and podcasts. So this is kind of like one of these autoplay recommend modes that I discovered this information of a whistleblower who worked in Antarctica. And, he was on a very reputable show. I believe it might have been Lyndon Moulton Howe or something she was connected with. She was mentioned. So I don't doubt that he was the real deal. He sounded incredibly credible. And what he described was so amazing. Just taking everything with a little grain of salt, of course. But he described a base that he worked on.
Wow.
That was so large underneath the ice.
Yeah, we got you. 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, Liana just joined the call, but go ahead, Daryl.
Okay, so this whistleblower is describing something that could not have been built anything earlier than about 3 million years ago, because it was under like 3 miles of ice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing I would have to interject at this point would be Antarctica was a lush, fresh land, just like America, as early as 12 or 14,000 years ago, which is
14,000?
It's still a long time ago. Don't get me wrong, but not nearly as long as 3 million.
I think the area that they were discussing, though, has been buried under ice for 3 million years.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Okay.
That's the thing that was so incredible about it.
Daryl, see, this is what I don't mean to interject, but this is what I find fascinating because the Earth is 13.5 million years.
What do we know?
That's what they say, right?
Yeah,
what do we know?
Yeah.
We are rewriting.
We don't know.
Got to be totally rewritten.
Yeah,
so
we don't know Dick. That's the first thing. But second of all, go ahead, Daryl. Dennis, I mean.
Let's just go with the information I'm giving you. I'm just saying it as I heard it.
Okay.
And it's not the first time I've heard similar, interesting, amazing, credible information that really does rewrite history. Like you've got to really think that forget about, biblical, the dates on the Julius Caesar calendar or Jesus calendar, whatever.
Right.
We've got to really go back. We were never hunting and gathering. I don't think that ever really happened.
What did we do then? If we weren't hunting and gathering, what did we do, Daryl?
I'll tell you.
I don't know if it was we then either.
I'll tell you right
talking...
now. You know
like
what we were
humans.
doing? We were building pyramids. We were building megalithic structures 14,000 years ago. That's what we were doing.
Possibly, but
on the planet.
I'm
There's four of them.
going to interrupt myself, or you, Dennis. This is one thing I want to share with you guys. I
How
have
do
a
you
little bit of
interrupt
a
yourself?
phobia or a fear, and this is, I don't know why I'm afraid of them, but maybe there's a reason I have an innate fear, but I have a fear of giants. I got to be honest with you. Why should I be afraid of giants? I've never been...
That is a
Anywhere.
pretty random fear to have. Yeah.
Very
Nephilim.
strange fear, but I'm terrified of giants. Like a little like monsters. Ooh, but I have a crazy little wacko fear of giants. I don't know if it's an inherited fear, if it's it's a genetic memory. Who knows? Why do we fear the things we fear? Some things are just universal. Why do we fear spiders? Why do we have knee-jerk reactions to cockroaches?
Well, I can explain why we fear spiders. The reason is, fuck spiders. That's
Fuck
why we fear them. Seriously.
They're aliens. Black widows.
Yeah, it's like, why do
Especially
we
black
fear
widows.
Death? Like, why did we fear death? Death is there anyway, just like
Why do
spiders.
we fear
Snakes.
death?
The unknown.
Yeah,
Must
I know.
have a reason to fear.
Why are humans afraid of death? I don't understand
Yeah.
this.
Honestly,
Yeah,
that's first, Dennis. Good point. Second of all, honestly, I can honestly say I am not. I've never really feared. Well, I'm sure I did when I was a kid, but I certainly don't fear death now. And by that I mean, yeah, life is kind of cool, but at the same time, if it's time to go, whatever. I'm down for whatever. You know what
You're
I mean?
just going to a different place, man.
Yeah,
So?
because I know there's something else afterwards.
Oh, I
so,
know.
and honestly, I'm kind of, I don't want to say bored, but let's just say I wouldn't
for
wouldn't
something different.
complain about leaving this reality at this
Yeah,
point.
Especially right now. It's a little bizarre right
Yeah, like I'm kind of ready to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh God,
I
you're
just-
too
I just
young
don't
to
wanna-
say that. You're
It's the
so
way
young.
you die that scares me. It's
well-
the way, like, I don't want to be burned to death. Or it's that part.
Yeah,
The dying
that's
part
a
doesn't freak me out.
that
I
is
agree
a
with
very.
you. I'm afraid of a horrific death. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
actually,
I
fear
don't
the
want
most
to go
thing.
out of this.
I will agree with
all
both
right
of you.
and
Yeah, I will agree with both of you on that. Yeah, I don't mind if I die in my sleep. I don't mind if somebody shoots me in the head, but or even drowning. That kind of sucks a little bit,
Oh,
right?
fuck drowning.
But at
Hey,
least
would you rather be froze to death in the Arctic, like freeze, or would you rather burn in a fire?
much rather I would much rather be
Freeze.
frozen because
Freeze.
fire. That's
You
what
don't feel
really
anything.
sucks.
No. I have a more too healthy of a respect for fire myself. I must have been a prior life.
Being burned-
No, but
I burned
think
in
about-
some. I mean,
think-
that was like so uncomfortable. Oh,
Okay,
God.
hold on.
Just a
No,
small
let's
area.
let's think about this logically. So let's compare drowning to burning, right? So if you're drowning, you've got no more than it's only a 30 or 45-second experience before you run out of breath and you're gone, right? Really
Whatever.
quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
fire,
there.
you can be on fire for like 20 minutes before it actually kills you. So
No,
fuck
no, you-
that.
No, but the brain
No,
goes
your
into
lungs
numbness.
suffocate. Your lungs get burnt. You suffocate. You die.
Yeah, you
If
die
If you're
before.
lucky. Yeah.
You're lucky.
I've known
Suffocated before you burn.
I know a guy who was on fire for like 25 fucking minutes. He kept rolling around. He couldn't fucking get it off. He was burning for
Oh,
25
dude.
minutes, and
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
no,
even
fire is
I
not-
can't even
fire is
begin to
blown out.
explain how many surgeries he had, all the skin
Oh,
grafts,
poor
and all that
You
stuff.
know, if I got burned like that, I would just. That would be it.
Yeah, that would
be
be
a good. That would be a good excuse to, off myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
you know what? You know what I do in that case, Gigi? I take
I'm
that
not that
freaking
brave.
stupid intravenous, right? Like pumping them with the morphine, whatever,
Yeah,
where they give you
yeah,
a little
yeah.
button. No, yeah, I'd inject it. I'd take out the valve. I'd inject that whole morphine bag right in my freaking damn
Like-
veins. I'll do euthanasia myself. Fuck that shit.
yeah. Honestly, here's what I would do if I got caught on fire. and I knew it was going to kill me, I would just pull out a gun and shoot myself before I could
I
burn
was
to death.
thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I
On fire
mean-
would be my least.
Where's
like,
a gun
I
when you
don't
need
think I
one,
wanna
you
be
know?
cremated.
Yeah, that's why you need a gun. Not necessarily in case you need to kill somebody else, but just in case you need to kill
I
yourself.
like that gun. Yeah.
Gigi, if you didn't have a gun, would you stab yourself to death?
No.
No, I would find. I would rather,
Doing
you
your
know,
own throat, I'm like,
yeah, no,
I like the morphine
it
idea. I
wouldn't
think
work.
that's
It wouldn't work. It just
that
wouldn't work.
that's a well, it could work, but that would take
Stab yourself
some
in the
real that would take some real determination. I would rather
Yeah, you really want to go. Yeah.
I would
No,
rather
Yeah, but it's easier to shoot yourself in the head.
yeah,
But
well,
I'd probably miss.
kill
and-
yourself with a knife.
well, I mean, yeah, if okay,
I
so
probably
if
make
if
myself
I you know, if I
paralyzed.
didn't have a gun and all I had was a knife, I would rather chuck myself in front of a bus on the highway before I
Well,
stab
what if
myself.
the bus wasn't around? All you had to do one shot one time.
Well,
Because
then
if
I
you
would
fuck up,
I
right?
would jump off of a
Probably
building.
get
I would
myself
do that would be the last way I would go out is stabbing
Yeah,
myself.
but you're on fire. You're on fire. You know what I do? I just jump
Okay.
in the fucking river. I jump in the river,
Jump in
get
the
off my
river.
van.
Paris. What
No,
if
but
the
then
river
it's gonna
wasn't
put the
handy?
fire out, and then you're still gonna be alive with a shitty bunch of fucking burns on your body. So
Oh,
what's the
God.
point in that?
You're gonna be in serious pain.
This is what a great way to start the show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
This is
You got a
fantastic.
gun, you got a knife, you got a bag of morphine.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Oh, morphine
That's
for sure.
Morphine, man.
Yeah,
I'll take morphine for 6 hours.
yeah, no
You know,
question.
Yeah.
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 I'll take morphine for 1,000 dollars.
You know, I'll take door number 1 there. Yeah.
Yeah, morphine
So we
all
got
day.
3 for morphine. One, you'll take the shotgun to the head or a right or whatever.
No. I take no guns.
No. Gigi's got the gun. We got the morphine. Gigi got the gun, and nobody wants to stab themselves.
Okay, what if you got the shotgun? It's a reloadable one. Like you have to
Well,
put
you know,
bullet
what-
at a time.
Well, if
And
you
you
actually, I don't know
miss.
if you've ever looked at it, but it's really hard to shoot yourself with a shotgun
With a
because it's
shotgun,
too
yeah.
long to
Right.
actually
I can do it.
aim at yourself. So you
No,
can't really.
You could miss too. You could like.
I know.
screw yourself up.
That would be my luck. I'd miss or I'd hit myself to where I was either
Yeah.
disfigured
Right.
or paralyzed.
Yeah.
Neck down.
Yeah, you're too paralyzed to pull the trigger twice.
Fuck's sake, I know, eh?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why you got to do it one shot one time. You know? That's why you got to eat it. You got to eat the barrel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta exactly. That's how you gotta do
Yeah, I've
it.
only
You
shot a
could.
gun
People
twice
have
in my life.
survived that. Even can you imagine
Yeah.
living through your own suicide, like having to die slowly from a gunshot wound?
Hey, I
Oh,
don't
no.
know if you guys remember this, but Liana, do you remember that East Coastern politician who was on live TV? He grabbed the gun from underneath the desk and blew his fucking head off right on
Yeah.
live TV. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
Oh,
On
yeah.
live TV?
You can,
What
you
is
can.
that?
It's on
Weird shit
YouTube.
TV. Like
On live TV, man. It was fucking.
Damn.
you went
Yeah.
out like a champ, you know?
fuck.
No, you hold on. You guys want to
I'm-
talk about going out like a champ? Here is a really good story. It's either, it depends. It's either the best story you've ever heard, or it's the worst story you've ever heard. It depends on your perspective, right? So get a load of this. So this one family, I forget the family name, they had this business where, you know, it was a helicopter tour business, right? Okay, we got another caller. Let me make sure we get them in here. All right, caller, hold on one second. I gotta finish the story. We'll get back to you in a second. So here's what happened. This company owned this helicopter touring business, right? And and it was based out of California. And basically, what they, you know, so you pay them to take you up in the helicopter. Like, okay, here we go. There's Hollywood. There's the Hollywood Hills. You know, it's like a kind of a sightseeing sort of helicopter tour, right? So this business had been around for like 30 or 40 years, right? And then the guy retires. He hands the business over to his son, right? 5 days afterwards. 5 days. It was like one of his first, you know, trips that he hosted himself. It was supposed to be a couple that booked the trip, right? But only the guy showed up. And so they go up and they fly in the air. And first of all, the guy's not putting his seatbelt on. He's like, wait a minute, hey, can you put your seatbelt on? Like, okay. And then, so, he's doing the tour thing. He's like, okay, here's Hollywood, and here's, hey, what are you doing? And the guy gets up, and he jumps out of the helicopter. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, here's the thing. He was terminally ill. His wife obviously didn't care about him very much. And so he, fuck stabbing yourself, fuck shooting yourself.
Yeah,
what
that,
more of
jump out
a
of the fucking helicopter?
what-
Fuck that shit. Jump off a building? Fuck that, man. Go out in style.
Well, I would argue that he went out in the bed. Like, that's
Fuck
you have to
right,
have
man.
some real steel balls to jump out of a helicopter and contemplate what you just did for about 2 minutes before you actually hit the ground, right? But here's the kicker. He lived briefly. He ended up living until they brought him to the hospital, which he then died later. But can you imagine how shitty that would have been? Like, all right, here we
Yeah,
go.
suicide fail.
Yeah, like,
Suicide
all right,
fail.
here I go. I'm about to die. It's about to end.
Yeah.
Pam. Ah! Ah! And then you just experience the worst pain ever, and then you die after that. Man, that poor guy. That poor guy.
That's not my time. See, that's when you jump off a building. You try to go head first, man.
Yeah.
See, because you don't want your legs to cushion in your
I'll
torso.
tell you that.
What really happened was he was aiming for the land, but he missed, and he landed in the ocean. That's why he lived.
Bastard.
Yeah, he just a noble attempt. He just missed.
Wrong timing.
Yeah, he just missed. But still a very noble attempt, and I do respect that. But anyway,
Sorry, Leanna.
No, that's okay.
anyway, hold on. We have a fourth person that just joined in a second ago. Who art thou, caller?
This is Alan from Detroit and Sky, my friend. How are you?
Oh, hey, what's up, Alan? Is your friend going to be able to join us too?
Yes, hello. How's everybody doing?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, so listen, I've never met you. You've never met me. I don't know who you are.
She's a nice girl. Now be cautious. She's a nice
Yeah.
girl, to everybody.
Yeah, oh, trust me, I'm being cautious. So you don't know me. I don't know you. We've never talked. And with that said, I would like to start this conversation like this. Will you marry me?
I told you he's a card, man. Dude.
I couldn't help myself. I'm
Right
sorry.
on, Brian.
Oh, yeah, by the way, if you say Brian, nobody knows who you're talking about. Most people think my name is
Okay,
Gigi.
Gigi.
Yeah, I trust me,
Yeah.
it's a total accident. I never meant for this to be the case, but everybody thinks
know
my
that.
name is
I know
Gigi.
that.
So, that's what you have to call me, I guess.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know who the
that
fuck
one's
Brian
not my
is.
moniker either.
Yeah, who the fuck is Brian? I don't know who fucking that guy is.
Exactly.
Who the heck
I've
is
known
Brian?
Dennis forever.
You ever watch
He doesn't even
Family
know.
Guy?
So there you go. Now, okay, so wait a minute. Let's take a step back here. That was all fun, but Daryl, at the beginning you were talking about the whole Antarctica thing. Now, what exactly, if you could sum it up in 2 sentences?
Okay, I want to give you the description that made me that caught my attention, because I've heard this description before when David Adair described what it was like when he was taken to Area 51, and how he described that the lighting, there was no shadows down there. He said the lighting was so strange, he couldn't find a light fixture. He couldn't understand how the place was illuminated. It was like naturally illuminated somehow, and you couldn't cast a shadow. And that sounded very alien. He found it very modern. It was 1972 or something. And it was ultra modern. I think they even had retina recognition or something like that. The technology down there was so unusual, and his attention to detail was excellent, And I believe just about anything David Adair has to say.
Yeah.
So
And
the way he described it was very similar to David Adair's experience, that when he was down there, he said it was gigantic. The underground base was so enormous And so that made me feel he was credible. And the third thing he said was that underneath this was giants that were suspended in animation. They were not dead. They were, hibernating, I suppose, and maybe they were hibernating to
or
the point
frozen.
where the ice would melt, and they could, rejuvenate and come back to life. And this is a very big threat.
Well,
to us.
yeah, but let me jump in right here. 90% of what you said is actually backed up by. Okay, let me preface.
And I'm going to post the link into the Spreaker chat because I found the link that I was listening to.
Please do
So
that.
you can watch this all yourself, and you can use your own judgment. Let me know what you think. If you think this sounds very credible.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Hold on. First of all, somebody in the audience is in the chat room. Rather, they're saying they don't know Daryl or whether she. Let me tell you, Daryl is one of the coolest people I've ever met. So if you have any doubts about that, then you can take that up with me. But second of all, though, hold on. Second of all, so as far as people that I've ever met, the two most genius brains I've ever had the pleasure of being friends with, one is definitely David Adair, but two, and this is in no specific order, by the way, is Dr. Richard Allen Miller, which I just talked to him this morning, and it's fun. Everything you just said, Daryl, about what David said about what they found out there in Antarctica, well, guess what? Rick said this, or Dr. Richard Allen Miller said the exact same thing because he went down there too. And we've had him on the show like, I don't know, 5 times over the last couple of years. I don't remember which episode it was, but one of them, we spent a whole hour talking about exactly what you were talking about. And so for that many, even just two of the brightest minds in the world, for them both to be saying the same. The only part that Rick never mentioned, or Dr. Richard Allen Miller never mentioned, was he didn't mention anything about the giants. But everything you said about the lights and the way there was no shadows and all that stuff, yeah, he said the same exact shit. So you really got to think about this. Both of these guys you can literally consider. They are the definition of genius. Their brains just simply function and operate on a much higher level than any of us here. And there's really no doubt about that. And so for both of these guys to be saying the same thing...
The smartest men living on the planet at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, what's his name?
Even Hawking's died, so,
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know. I'm glad you brought that up because I have a really controversial theory about Stephen Hawking's, which I'll probably get to in a second. But,
I want to hear it.
Okay, well, I was pretty much done anyway. So let's get into that right now. So, okay. Now, before Stephen Hawking's, which, by the way, I want to clear something up right now. A lot of people think that his condition is some kind of fake thing. No, because my best friend's dad has the exact same condition that same condition that Stephen Hawking has. So it is a real thing.
I don't see how that could be fake.
Yeah, I know. They can go fuck off. Sorry.
Yeah, well, there are a few people that think it's fake, and so I just wanted to clear that up and tell you.
God, who would fake that?
I don't know.
It's a fake, I
don't know, but
how would they fake that?
So the disease is real, but the reason why the theory that I'm about to propose, the reason why I'm about to propose it is because I watched my best friend's dad go through this and how they treated him. They tried to hook him up to the same sort of thing, where he can talk by moving his cheek muscle, right? And somehow that's translated through this computer system, and he's able to talk, right? No, that's not. I'm just going to say right now, no, that's not what's going on. There is no. If you really look into the science of it, there is no possible way for them to translate by the moving of the up or down of the cheek muscle to not only, maybe you could get yes or no at best, but you cannot get a word, much less a sentence, much less a whole fucking
binary.
book.
It's called binary. One or zero, one or zero, one or zero, one or zero.
Oh, good point. Good point. Yeah, you could. Yes, technically. Yeah, you could do it through binary,
Right. And you
but
string it in sequence, and all of a sudden, it becomes an algorithm.
yes, you could. Right, but here's the other. I'm just gonna put this on the table. You can take it or leave it. You can pour some syrup on it. Whatever you want to do with it. I'm just gonna put it on the table. There's a pretty good chance, in my opinion, that Hawkins, who was before he got crippled, he was a fucking genius, just like we were just talking about. He was one of the few.
Was he a genius after he got crippled, or did he?
No, he was a genius before he got crippled, which is
right. After he got crippled, he became not a genius no more.
Well, okay. I think if I explain this first, I think you'll see where I'm getting at. So he was already a genius, right? And then he got this terrible disease, and God bless him. I can only imagine what the fuck that was like going through.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What if because who are his biggest backers? His biggest backers are mainstream media, mainstream science, mainstream physics, all of that shit, right? So what if you have this guy who was a genius, but he can no longer talk?
So he's a pawn.
But you can, yeah. But you can.
He's a pawn.
I know you get it, Dennis. I know you get it. But let me explain for the audience who doesn't.
Let him finish, Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis. I understand that you get it already. I understand that you get it, but let me finish for the audience who probably doesn't get where I'm going yet. Okay, and then I will let you talk for as long as you want.
I'm done.
Okay, so just imagine, right? You've got this genius guy who's kind of, he's still alive, but he can't talk, he can't communicate. And if you wanted to get some real propaganda out there, what better way to do that than make it look like this guy's able to talk and they're just putting words not quite in his mouth, but in his digital mouth, right? And they're making it seem like he's saying whatever the fuck they want him to say. And if that is the case, poor fucking Hawkins, because he's sitting there, he can hear what's going on, he can see what's going on, and he can see that they're using him, but he can't fucking do anything about it. All he can do is move a cheek muscle. So,
shit.
So yeah, really think about that for a second before you,
that would be
you know.
dreadful.
Yeah, think about that for a second because
Be a puppet like that.
Because like
A
I said,
helpless puppet.
with my best friend's dad, they never figured out how to communicate with him, even though he has the same disease. They have all the same technology. They can't communicate with him. So why is Hawkins able to communicate?
Way better technology. I have a friend that met him, and I don't think that's true. He was with him for a couple hours.
Yeah, it very well might not be true. It's just a possibility that I wanted to flop onto the table just for discussion, really.
Don't you think he's got lawyers and attorneys? Stephen Hawking's a wealthy man. There's the Hawking Foundation, and they are loaded with attorneys. If they said something that wasn't his words, don't you think that somebody would have something to say about it?
Not if they didn't realize that they weren't his words. If they actually believed that what they say he's saying is actually being said, why would they have any reason to question that? They actually think he's saying it, so there would be no reason for that questioning in the first place.
It'd be hard to anticipate what people would be asking him, though.
Wait, say that again?
It would be hard to anticipate if he was in a crowd of people saying he was talking, and somebody asked a question. It'd be hard to anticipate what somebody was going to say. You'd have to have somebody around him all the time typing or whatever, listening, because
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that could be.
I don't really think so.
I just
really
have
don't.
no comment. I
Yeah.
have no comment on this.
Honestly,
No.
I'm not I'm not convinced either way. Honestly, I'm pretty undecided. But how about this? Let's rephrase it and put it this way. Let's say Einstein, right? Let's say Albert Einstein all of a sudden came up with. Does anybody know what the disease is called that Hawkins has? What's it called?
Is it ALS?
No,
Plus multiple sclerosis? What did he have?
no, it's well, anyway, okay.
What? ALS? Yeah. What are you talking about here?
Okay, so yeah, let's get back to the point.
Cerebral palsy?
Yeah.
Let's just call it Hawking's disease, just
All
for
right,
just for the sake of this conversation. Let's just
Right.
call it Hawking's disease. So let's say Albert Einstein, all of a sudden, halfway through all of his fantastic work and research, all of a sudden, well, first of all, let's say he discovered a couple of things that the government doesn't quite want you to know about, right? And then all of a sudden, he gets Hawking disease, right? Well, look at it from a sinister point of view. What can you do with this situation? Well,
Yeah, I already see the
we-
picture. I already see the picture that you're forming here.
yeah.
TG.
So okay. So I'll just end it there. So Dennis, would you not agree that that is a possible situation?
Yeah, that's a plausibility. That's a plausible. Okay, but it's not factual. That's all I gotta say. You guys
Well,
can
I agree. I agree. It's not factual, but it
It's
is
not
plausible. It is plausible, though.
Well, anything's really possible. You know, it's only limited by possibility is only limited by what we believe can happen.
Yeah, but this is a little bit more possible than you know.
But it's
Something
you gotta,
hitting the earth.
Open mind, but like I said, from what I know, from my friend who has had personal experience with them, I would say no. But that's just an opinion.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
no opinions are.
And that was kind of the only reason why I feel like I have any sort of stance to even propose something like that is the fact that my best friend's dad has the same disease, and they can't communicate with him. So
the kind of muscular diseases. A lot of times they each person is different. Like what part goes paralyzed first, and I think.
Right.
Hawking,
well, no,
from what I understand he had implants in his brain.
Yeah.
that
Well,
they had put down.
well, that okay. Yeah, that might. First of all, Ileana, is there any way you can turn up your your microphone volume because you're kind of coming in a little low?
Okay.
If there, no worries if you can't, but if you can, definitely turn yourself up.
I have to ask you a question, sir.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Right before your question, I just want to point out that the reason why I feel like I have any room to talk about this is because, you know, with Hawking's, it's his cheek muscle that moves up and down, right? And that's why they're able to. That's why they say they're able to communicate with him, and why he's able to talk. Well,
isn't he the one that developed this type of technology for himself?
It was developed for him.
No, it was developed for him.
MIT.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, MIT. Yeah, no, it was a huge
Yeah,
operation.
I've studied the man many years.
But anyway, just to finish my point in 2 sentences, well, my best friend's dad can also move his cheekbone up and down, but they can't get anything out of him other than yes or no. So what's the difference between that and then for some reason? Well,
program.
I guess the only reason would be, like Dennis brought up, would be the binary system.
Yep.
And Stephen Hawking's obviously would be smart enough to know the binary system, whereas my best friend's dad probably didn't take the time to learn binary
I learned
system.
binary system when I was in fucking high school, for fuck's sake.
Well, I never learned it. Anybody else here know? No. Yeah.
I do.
I know of it.
I know binary. I'm a programmer.
I used to write programs, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, you're a lot older and smarter
Same here.
than all of us here. So, yeah, I don't doubt it. You've had more time. You had the time to do it. You know, I spent most of my years skateboarding and playing music. I never had time to learn binary. So, yeah, no,
How'd you get so smart, Gigi?
I don't doubt you for one second, Dennis. I'm sure you do know binary, and I'm glad you brought that up because honestly, I never fully thought about that. That's probably is the way that he's able to communicate, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Now they've got a
Off,
quantum-
up,
quantum
on, up,
computers
on, up, on, up,
with
up,
zero
on.
or one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference between digital and analog. All right. That's when digital came in. Binary. That's where CDs came in. All right. That's where
Now
digital
they're-
came in.
Yeah. Now
Binary.
they've got quantum ones, and it's
Oh,
instead
fuck.
of
It's
ones
crazy,
and
man.
zeros, each one is a 1 or a 0.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's crazy. And the algorithms they have now, holy shit, man. Blow your fucking mind. And you were talking about artificial intelligence earlier? Oh, fuck. What they're doing now, man, is fucking crazy.
That creeps me out, man. I get freaked out when my dad had a Subaru with one of those ones you sit down with a seatbelt goes around you.
Oh, fucking.
I thought it was going to come to life alive like Christine. I'm like, no. Let's keep the computers there, and we tell them what to do. They don't learn.
Yeah,
and
you got
interact
Siri, you got
and
Alexa, you know, and they start knowing your patterns, like Daryl was saying earlier. You know, they know what you like and all this stuff. Of course.
You know, I'd like to bring up a parallel here between Hawking and Tesla.
Yeah.
You know, Tesla never went paralyzed, but they beat that man down with degrading and demoralizing. They demoralized the man because of his views and free energy and all that.
Fucking
yeah,
right.
but he was kind of he was a brilliant man.
He was freelance. He was a freelance. He didn't like fucking fucking
like
Edison.
people.
That
He was
shit.
one of those people.
Well,
one of those people found
Damn right.
that
Edison and
that
all
all
that Westinghouse, they all beat him up.
well,
They fucked him over.
Dennis,
They fucked him over.
what you just to kind of keep a straight track here, Dennis, what you just said actually plays perfectly into the hand of what Alan was just saying. The fact, I'll just leave it at that. But I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't take it so far as they completely crippled the man because of what he was
him
doing.
Over, man. I studied Tesla too. You know, he got fucked over.
Oh well, Tesla.
Well, the guy that
Tesla
was-
definitely
he was the
got
one who
fucked
brought
over.
in fucking
The guy that
AC
loaned
current
him the
man.
money-
Ultimate
loaned him the
current
money
man.
and,
Yeah.
to do the free
Safe.
energy thing.
Not only did
And-
he invent the AC current, he also figured out how we could all have energy, electricity
Free energy, yeah.
free without
I know.
anybody.
And what happened to that?
Well,
Because somebody
that was
backed
the
him
start
up
of
and
his
backed out at the
downfall.
last minute.
That was the start of his downfall. As soon as he started talking about that, the corporations, what's his name in particular, realized, hey, we can't make money if it's free. So that's when they started shutting him down. And then the next thing you know,
That's
he
when
died
the guy
alone
got-
in a
guy
fucking
had
hotel
back-
room
had-
with a pet
because
fucking
one of the towers
pigeon.
built, and then the guy backed out.
Do you remember Gigi? Do you remember the guy in Australia who first started the hydrogen engine for cars, and he all of a sudden he disappeared?
No, please do elaborate on that. I've never heard about this.
Oh yeah, hydrogen powered freaking vehicles, man. You know, and that could, basically it was ethanol. It was,
On a radio show, but okay.
Wait, Dennis, you're cutting out. I can't hear you.
all right, I'll shut up. No, that's okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, I think, I'm glad you brought that up because there's another example. There was a guy in, he was like from like North Carolina or something. I don't know, some guy from America back in like 91, 92. He figured out a way. Well, we obviously know that we can run cars off water now, right? But this is like 25, closer to 30 years ago.
30 years
this,
ago.
This guy came out. He, all by himself, he figured out a way to run cars off of water. And he got the local news channels in that state picked up the story. As soon as that story went live, that guy fucking disappeared.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And basically, same thing happened with Tesla. Same thing happened with the guy that Dennis was just talking about in Australia. Yeah, if you threaten
What?
if you threaten the main thread of our economy, which
Oil.
is obviously oil,
Oil.
yeah, you're gonna get whacked.
Yep. Isn't that a shame?
It is a shame, and I'm glad we're talking about this because people should probably realize this. This is something that I imagine these kinds of things are going to happen for years to come, but eventually, once enough people realize what's going on here, eventually they're not going to be able to cover it up like they have been able to, and that gets down to the whole core of why we even do radio shows like this in the first place. We just want to share knowledge. We want people to be aware of shit. The more everybody is aware of what the fuck is going on, the less they're going to be able to pull, curtains over our heads. You know what I mean?
Or at least question things. At least question things. Don't just take their word for it. Because people like politics and stuff like that, and even the science stuff, they get up there and they use a lot of flowery words. But if you really listen to what they're saying, they don't say a whole lot. That's the ones you got to watch out for.
Great point. Yeah. They say a lot of words, but they're not really saying anything, are they?
Yeah,
it's called distraction.
It sounds good. It sounds kind of good, but it would be something in a book, but it really doesn't mean anything,
Right.
Or
that's what
they
it's
make
called
it sound so
distraction.
convincing.
They distract you off of the main points that they don't want you to focus on. That's
too.
what the flowery words.
It's kind of like when
It's not going to last very long, though.
No.
It's like when they advertise medications
It's not
on
gonna
TV. They make them sound like, oh, you're going to get totally well. And then right at the end, they throw in, 20 side effects.
Yeah.
And, by the time they're done with the side effects, it's like, I think I'd rather have the disease. Okay?
Yeah, I know,
Right? Yeah.
I'll take a little bit of bad skin.
Leanna, we joke about that.
Anal leakage in my anal places and shopping, shopping in the middle of the night without sleeping, sleep shopping or whatever.
This is a good one.
No.
And if you experience death, call your lawyer.
Right. There you go.
If you have an erection for more than, go to your nearest hospital. No, anybody I know would probably be calling their buddies and say, you know what?
Oh man, it's too much.
All right. So once again, I just want to, if it's possible for Ileana or Daryl, if there's any way you can turn up, because here's the problem. All of you guys are coming in on one channel, so I can only turn all of you up or all of you down. Dennis is coming in clear. Alan came in pretty clear. But Daryl and...
I'm not loud enough? I gotta try to turn this up. I didn't do it.
Actually, you sound good pretty now, but Ileana, your volume is definitely a lot lower than everybody else's, and I just want to make sure.
I turned it up. I did turn it up.
I got more.
Well, I would imagine you might have just turned up your output volume. I would need you to turn up your input volume. If that's something that you know how to do.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. That's another reason.
You have no way of turning up then. That's okay. Yeah. Let's just try to, whenever she talks, let's try to, because if anybody wants to butt in, she's going to have the hardest time.
Butt in, okay? Because I wanted to bring this up, Gigi, because I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, you a question.
You want to ask me a question, brother?
I want to ask you a question.
All right.
How do you feel about conspiracy theories and the time and energy that people put towards them?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, there are real conspiracies. There's no doubt. In fact, the best example of this is the way...
I don't care about the examples. I want to know how you feel about them.
I'm getting to that, Dennis. Let me talk for a fucking second. So, all right. So, yes, I will get. I will answer it, but this is part of my answer. So let me say it. The forming of the United States, when they bailed from England and they rebelled, if we didn't win that war, this whole America thing would have been called a conspiracy, and all of our forefathers would have been lynched and hung because of trying to perform this conspiracy. So the fact that this country even exists is because this is a conspiracy. It was a conspiracy that formed this fucking country. So for somebody to say that conspiracy theories don't exist, you're just living under a fucking shit-covered rock.
I said, how do you feel about them?
Well, I'm getting to that, Dennis.
Right. Wait.
And in fact, that was the next thing I was about to say. So with that said, I feel... here's what I think about conspiracy theories. Obviously, there's a lot of bullshit out there. You know,
that's a two-part question. Go ahead.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of bullshit conspiracy theories out there. You know, like Flat Earth, for example, or half the shit that comes out of Alex Jones' mouth. Right?
Yeah, I don't care about all that shit. How do you feel about them?
That's exactly what I'm talking about right now.
All right. I'm just waiting for you to get to your point.
So, just fucking let me finish, man. So, you know, whether it's Flat Earth or half the shit Alex Jones says, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit conspiracies, but you cannot let that overshadow the real conspiracies that are going on. I mean, let's talk about some real conspiracies.
No. Let's talk about how you feel about them. That was my question. Sorry.
How I feel about them. How do I feel about conspiracy theories?
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of bullshit ones, but I also feel like there are some real conspiracies, and all of the bullshit conspiracies that people are wasting their time with are overshadowing and over-occupying people's time, which could rather be much better spent looking into real conspiracies.
Thank you. That's all I was asking you, sir.
Well, that's all I was trying to say, too.
All right, I'd just like to get to the point. How do you discern? The next question is, how do you discern?
Listen,
how do you
I'm a
discern?
rambler. You got to accept that.
I'm a rambler. How do you discern between fake conspiracies and the actual real shit that's going on?
Well, here's how you do it. Here's the thing that most people don't do that most people should do. You know, we all have our favorite sources of information, right? Whether it's a radio show or QAnon or whatever the fuck you listen to every day. Right?
Whatever.
But here's the thing. Most people only listen to their favorite people. Here's the trick. You have to listen to everybody's opinion. Not only, even if it's like somebody like Alex Jones, where you know he's full of shit, you still need to listen to it anyway, because the more different perspectives, and this is my number one philosophy in life, the more different perspectives you get on one situation, no matter how bullshit or how true any one of them might be, you have to get as many different perspectives as possible, because eventually some dots are going to connect between the different perspectives, and the more you do that, the less foggy it gets, and the more clear it becomes of what is actually going on.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's what I do exactly. Exactly with religion. Yeah. I don't stick with one person's say. All right. I look at it all. I look at the big picture. Yeah. All right. Exactly. I look at it all. You know. I don't look off Associated Press or you know like hardcore source news agencies, right? You know, you got to look at it all, everything.
You really do, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that you and me really relate to, and yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that. But not a lot of people are. A lot of people, they only listen to Fade to Black, or they only listen to Fox, or they only listen to Alex Jones. Like, man, you really gotta listen to everything.
See, what you're doing is you're living in a bubble. You're living in a bubble that that there's so much going on around you. You're in a bubble bath, and you're in one little bubble, but you can't see the bathtub that you're in because everybody's got their bubbles. That they're fucking. Yeah. Some are big bubbles, some are small. You know.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
mean,
I'm saying, man?
there's definitely some people that to a certain.
They're so close-minded, they can't see.
Well,
Sorry.
and that's what, yeah, that's kind of what I was about to touch on was, ignorance is bliss to a certain type of people that we share this earth with. There's definitely some people that, don't, as much as all of these hosts on all these different shows and all these different networks, as much as we all say, we're ready for disclosure, we believe it already, just tell us, right? Well, guess what? No, not everybody is ready for it. I know two people in particular, especially one, who I was with him when he had an experience. And I'm not going to get into the details, but I saw it too, and he saw it, but he literally lost his mind because of that event. And that was like 15 years ago. To this day, he literally cannot be a functional human in society because of it. It shook him up so fucking bad that he can't even contribute to society. So I think you really got to think about that for a second before you say, please disclose everything to us. And then here's another thing. This is really important. So please don't interrupt me, anybody. Is when it comes to secrecy, right? Usually we associate secrets with negativity, with something that we associate it as something that would negatively hurt anybody that found out about it, right? That's how most people perceive it. But wait a minute. What if we did go to the moon in the 70s and we found something that really threatens every one of us on the earth? What if we encountered, and this, I'm not saying this is the case, this is just a random fictional example. What if we did encounter an alien race that fucking hates us and they told us to fuck off, and they also told us, if you don't stop fucking off, we're gonna fuck you off?
Yeah, we all die.
Right? So I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Plato or Nostradamus. No, it was. I think it was Plato. I don't know. I think it was Plato. No, it might have been Newton. Either way, one of those two guys. They had a very good quote. I don't know it word for word, so I'll just paraphrase it. But basically, what he said is, it's about the noble lie, right? Usually you should not lie. But if it truly benefits all of society and all of your family and all of your friends, then yes, you should lie about it to protect them. And I think that's something that, especially in this industry, obviously, we're always snooping into every conspiracy theory. Any secret that we uncover, we want to expose it, right? But just take a step back for a second and think about it. What if there really is a good reason to keep this a secret? And I guess what I'm saying is, just because not only our governments, but the United Nations in particular, they obviously have secrets. Most people assume it's for a negative reason. But what if they're actually protecting our asses, and we're just and we're just biting the hand that feeds us?
That's exactly what the Brookings report said back in the 60s, 68, 69, when they come out with the question, what if we find intelligent life on the moon? The Brookings report said keep it secret because society couldn't handle it. The churches would fail, the banks would fail, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, fuck's sake, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the only. Once again, I'm just flopping shit on the table and pouring some syrup on it. I'm not taking one slice or another. I'm just putting this out there. But the main reason I have to reiterate, the main reason I'm doing this is, or I'm saying this in particular, is because before that event happened that I saw with one of my best friends, before that, if you were to tell me everybody's ready for disclosure, I would have been like, fuck yeah, absolutely. How, like, everybody's ready,
man.
right? But
you guys aren't even ready for it yet, man. You guys aren't even ready for full disclosure, for fuck's sake. The government doesn't even know how to fucking handle what they fucking know. For fuck's sake. I'll shut my fucking mouth now, boy.
No, I'm glad you said that, because you allowed me to skip ahead to what I was going to get to, which is
Yeah, because I don't like fucking push the foot in the right. I get to the point.
yeah,
Sorry.
I that's obviously your number one characteristic. We all get that. but so like you just fast forward me to, I have a feeling that the government came across something that not only they can't handle, so if they can't handle it, why would they share it with the rest of society who would much less be able to handle it?
You know what? I see what the fucking I'm not going to tell you exactly what I do and how I do it. All right, I see what goes on around here. This fucking whatever. I'll shut my mouth.
No, I actually, can you keep your mouth open? Can you continue on that thought?
No, nothing. I can't see too much, man. You know, like I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. Liana's not stupid. You know, Daryl's not stupid. We're not stupid. Some people are blind, like you say. Some people are like lemming sheeples that run around like fucking mice, running around their jobs, just trying to pay the mortgage and shit like that.
Right.
Oh man, you know, I've been seeing shit. You know, okay, I'm not gonna sound like a Neil. All right.
I hope everybody got that joke. That was funny.
Yes.
That was that best joke I've heard all week, right there, Dennis. But no, I think that's right. You know, there's
I see a lot of stuff. Neil's.
Well,
you know
here's
what? Neil. Okay, sorry. Neil
no. Hold on. Let's not talk about that guy too much, because
okay. I was having a conversation with a guy.
Okay.
All right. Okay, some dude I talked with, and he's saying, Dennis, you got to share your message because you got a lot to share. I said, buddy, man, I don't share. You know, people can't comprehend. I don't even know how to share this shit because there's no language for it for me.
Well, nobody.
That's why I need translators.
Yeah, well, nobody knows how to share the shit, and that's why I think there's so many different radio shows. There's 3 different major networks that either of our shows are on. We're all trying to figure out how to get to the bottom of what's going on, and I think you brought up a really good point earlier, Dennis. Well, what you said reminded me of something that I'm about to say, which is, it's not that we don't all... Well, obviously everybody doesn't know what's going on, but as far as the 4 of us here, we all know what's going on, right? But there's a difference between knowing what's going on and why it's going on. That's the real mystery.
Change it, had to shift it, and I just got a huge echo somewhere.
Yeah, that echo. Yeah, whoever's if somebody's playing the show in the background, please turn that off. But yeah, I think we're good now. But yeah, no, once again, to reiterate, it's most of us know what's going on, at least as far as our community and our industry, I mean, which is a pretty fucking big community around the world. We know what's going on. The real question is, why is it going on, and why is it going down in the way it is? That's what nobody knows.
Okay, you know what it is? It's a shift in human consciousness. All right, we're going through a galactic alignment. All right, if you really want to go deep, all right, this is a shift in human consciousness, and people don't understand this. And again,
if you want a good book on that, it's called The Collapse of Time.
Yeah.
It pretty much describes the alignment with the black holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the polarity. That's
Quick.
what we're seeing. The polarity for people.
Okay. Real quick before we move on, I want to jot this down on my notepad here. You said what's the name of that book?
It's called oh god, it's the Empire's Collapse of Time. It's Surviving the Collapse of Time or something like that. It's a really good book. Just went out of my head. It's like surviving the collapse of time, and basically the guy goes from start to finish, and he talks about how, at one point when we line up with the black hole in our galaxy, every time that's happened, we've done an evolutionary leap, a smaller one, like the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution. Now we're not only going. This is the first time we've gotten record of this. That we're lining up with the black hole of our galaxy, plus the black hole at the center of the universe, and that pulls on us on a a level of what it's doing is what makes us hook evolutionary wise is the stuff from the sun. It's certain rays come through to us. We have an atmosphere, and there's a magnetic grid around it. Well, there's also one around the sun, and if you notice, there's been a lot of sun activity. It's because that magnetic grid that around us and around them is thinned because of the pull of the black hole, and so more stuff is coming into us, and we're absorbing it.
Now, okay.
So the change is going to be in our consciousness, not necessarily in our bodies, but in our consciousness, the way we think.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, real quick, before anybody says anything, are you talking about the book that's called "Navigating the Collapse of Time" by David Cohen? Okay.
That's it.
I just wanted to make sure I had the right.
Yeah. I knew it was. I couldn't remember the first word. I have a myriad of books. I have like a library in my room here.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I went through a period where I did a lot of reading, self-education, I guess you'd call it, and the questioning. And this book, it resonated with me, like everything I read about it. And he backs it all up with science and with ancient texts, with the text now, and he shows how and he's got several people that works with him that they did a lot of research on this. And I read it a couple of years back when I got an inkling this was coming about, that I had seen it and I had been keeping up with it. And like I said, I did a lot of reading at that time. And it just about everything in the book has come to pass the way he said it, give or take a few minor details, but they were minor details, like it's supposed to happen by this date. I never say it's a certain date because time for the universe and for the things that control the universe, basically, it's not the same kind of time. Linear time is something we made up.
Yeah.
Time actually unfolds from itself.
Okay, I'm gonna have to come in right here. So, Ilana, do you know? First of all, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Liana. Okay, all right. I just wanted to get that straight.
That's fine.
So, are you familiar with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, a.k.a. Doc Ram?
Yes.
Okay, so I talked with him on the phone for a couple hours this morning. And, by the way, folks, he will be on the show, not this week, but next week. On the main show, I mean. So he sent me one chapter of a book. I can't recall it off the top of my name, but if you go the same channel that this show is on right now, our B-Sides and Rarities channel, the one that I posted earlier today, which would be right beneath this one, basically all it is he sent me a bunch of transcripts of that chapter of the book, and what I did was for about an hour I just read the book for the audience for about an hour. And based off of everything you just said, I think you would find it, you should really check it out because it's really, listen, when Dr. Richard Allen Miller tells you to look at something, you'd better look because he is one of the smartest fucking brains on this goddamn planet.
Leanna, what do you know of this Dr. Miller guy?
I don't keep track of people's lives. I just I've heard of him.
His writings
around. I just
Oh, do you want me to tell you?
Sure.
Is that what you're asking? Okay. Well, let's put this in perspective. Back in the '60s, when he was in high school, in his
500 words or less, please.
All right, I'll try my best. In his spare time in high school, he built in his parents' basement. He built his own linear accelerator that proved that particles could go faster than the speed of light. As soon as he did that, Navy intel
Quantum mechanics.
basically wrapped. Yes, quantum mechanics. Navy
Wrapped it up and
intel.
took it away.
Navy intel.
Yep.
They came over right away. Like, hey.
Yep, that's it. I'll take that. Bye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ours.
Nothing go on here. Nothing to see here, people.
Yeah. But on top of that, he's one of the best quantum physicists of all times. He worked for Navy Intel for years. He was in
That's time
charge.
travel. You know what that is? That's time travel, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, he has quite a lot to say about that too. And in fact, just a little fun fact about Doc Ram is the X-Files, the very famous show, was based upon Dr. Richard Allen Miller's program that he was in charge of at MRU, and they actually hired him as a consultant for the first season of X-Files so that they could ask him how they would have gone about this situation in reality, which they were presenting on the show. And so the whole first season of the X-Files was based on Dr. Richard Allen Miller's input on how this actually did go down back when he was working with MRU. And then obviously all the succeeding seasons were all based off of that. And so that's just a little fun fact there for anybody that never knew that.
First season of X-Files was the best season, too.
Yeah.
That's funny because the X-Files, I found there was my daughter and I were big fans, and we would watch it, and and I would see some weird little thing on it or some storyline or something, and then about 2 or 3 weeks later, a couple of months later, in the newspaper, like the third or fourth page, there'd be a little article on the same exact thing happening someplace.
Right.
And I thought I was imagining it. And I kept track of it, and it kept happening. And so I mentioned it to my daughter, and she started keeping track of it. And it wasn't everyone, but like there would be, a certain they would do the storyline, and then they would go off and do like with some creature or something different. But there would be some part of that episode would take place. I'd be reading the newspaper, and that's when we had newspapers.
Synchronicity. I see that all the time. I see it all the time. I got a lot of precognition, right? Precog, right? Yeah, man. We could talk Dreamtime too as well, man. Fuck that.
I know. No, it's just weird that certain TV programs are like the way whatever the TV programming is. A new show will come out, and I swear to God, it's like I can tell what's going on in the world by what programming they're putting on.
I get that with radio a lot too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to ask you a question, Gigi.
Okay.
We were talking about authors, right? Correct? This Sir Miller, Rick Miller, right? Dr. Rick Miller.
Yeah.
Right. The work that he does. We touched on philosophy, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever studied Marcus Aurelius?
No, I have not.
Oh, he's a great philosopher. He loved life. Actually, Leon, you know Marcus Aurelius.
Yes. He was a Roman
emperor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you know who his teachers were?
Yes. No, I don't even. Okay, just tell me.
Plato.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay.
Who?
Yeah.
Plato, Socrates.
Yeah, Plato, Socrates, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question. I have a question. I want to get into something a little different. Has anybody heard of adrenochrome? It's a drug.
Adrenal? Does that fuck up your pineal?
Adrenochrome, yes.
Adrenal gland's gonna fuck up your pineal. You're gonna mate your adrenal with your pineal.
Wait, how does adrenal
there's a
relate
drug.
to
It's called
pineal?
adrenochrome.
Oh, fuck.
It's made from ground up pineal glands of infants, of fetuses.
Oh, I
What?
thought
For
you were.
the elite.
I thought you were talking about.
You
Wait,
know,
hold on.
that's
Hold on.
gross.
Listen,
Hold
Alan,
on,
man.
Alan,
I got
Alan.
you as soon as
Hey,
you fucking
hey.
said those fucking words, man. No.
Everybody,
I don't think so.
shush. Okay, Alan. Can you repeat
Yep.
what you just? Can you please repeat what you just said?
Absolutely.
All right.
According to a Vatican source, a Vatican leaker,
Oh,
the
God.
president of Brazil was busted for enslavement of young women for sex slaves, and their babies were being sold off and harvested for their pineal glands to make adrenochrome, which is the most powerful drug on the planet, and it's used in rejuvenation for the elite. This was all broadcast on Benjamin Fulford 3 days ago.
Okay. Well, honestly, let me everybody just let me talk for about 2.5 minutes here.
Okay, go ahead.
So I understand what you said, and there are. I don't know if the whole story is correct, but there's definitely a couple of things that you brought up that really make sense out of a couple of other things. One of which is if you look into the research of C60, or if you look into Fulcanelli and the whole alchemist mystery school shit like that, what they specifically what Fulcanelli talked about was these ancient alchemists, and by ancient I mean like back in the 1700s, not really that ancient but old enough, right? They found out. Let me talk. So they found out. So they found out that they did. In fact, what was it? Oxford or Harvard? One of those prestigious colleges. They did an experiment where they took the pineal glands of old mice and transplanted them into a whole new batch of baby mice, and then vice versa, obviously. And so guess what happened?
What?
The old mice that got the young pineal glands, they literally not only stopped aging, they actually reversed in aging. They literally got younger. And then when they put the older pineal glands into the young mice, they aged exponentially and died almost instantly. So there's a very clear correlation, and alchemists like Fulcanelli, hey, what's up, Dan? Alchemists like Fulcanelli and others have been talking about this for hundreds of years, but it wasn't until, God, I wish I knew which university it was. It's either Oxford or Harvard. It's one of those. But after they did that study, they confirmed what these guys have been talking about for years, which is the aging process has to do with the pineal gland. More specifically, the more calcified your pineal gland becomes, the more you age. So if you can decalcify your pineal gland, you can reverse the age. And that's really the ultimate according to Fulcanelli, anyway, that is the ultimate secret of alchemy. Most people think of alchemy, they think about turning lead into gold. No, that's a mistranslation.
Nah, that's fucking
that is a misunderstanding of the real goal, which is
People have no idea what
decalcifying the pineal gland. That is the main secret of
But
the alchemist.
and the ones up the Buddhist monks years ago, they used to a long time ago they used to drill a hole in the initiate's head, right where the pineal gland, and tickle it and get it to like they would do that, and this hole would stay open, and during a certain time of their certain age, and they would go in there and they would stimulate it.
Now, hold on real quick. Let me pause. Are you talking about like Tibet or China? Like
Tibet.
Tibet.
I'm talking Tibet.
Okay, all right, continue.
Yeah, and they used to stimulate it, and they also have record of they live a lot of the Buddhist monks, they live a long time because for one, they don't have the stress. For two, they meditate, and when you meditate, it changes your DNA. You can actually visualize because at the end of each little cell, when it breaks apart, you've got a telluride, or I think that's what it's called, and it's like a end of a shoelace. It breaks off every time it splits.
Yeah.
So when you run out of this telluride, then it starts going into the cell itself, and you lose some of the directions for what it's supposed to do. That's another thing that causes us to age.
Yeah.
And so the pineal gland is not necessarily the pineal gland itself. It is like a focal point for where the crystals actually sit in your body.
Well, yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and that's really so. I'm so glad you brought that up. So yeah, it does. Yeah, it might start at the pineal gland, but at the same time, now we're getting into what you're talking about, Ilana. Did I just mispronounce your name again? Liana. Jesus fuck. All right, Liana.
That's okay. No, everybody gets my name wrong.
Yeah,
my whole name sounds like a pasta dish or an opera singer or something.
Yeah, it does sound like a very delicious pasta dish.
Good.
Yeah, I would have to agree. But no, but what you're so now you're getting into what we're getting to now is what is called epigenetics, which if you have any questions about what that is or you don't. Because honestly, it would take too much time for us to explain this here. So we're just going to assume that the audience knows what epigenetics is. If you don't, look up Bruce Lipton and all of his videos on epigenetics. And then once you understand
biology of belief.
Yeah, and it really is.
I interviewed him one time.
Oh, really?
Yes, I got to interview him when I was on Blog Talk Radio. Really nice man. Very nice man.
Oh, yeah,
and really
he's a very warm-hearted guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, his stuff is pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, a fact. I mean, in my own life, you can redirect your whole body. Your body's set up to heal itself. And we just forgot how to do it. But we can. And part of it, the big key is meditation. As weird as that sounds, it is. We take care of our skin, we wash our hair, we brush our teeth, but we don't take care of our internal.
Our spirit. Our spirit. It's not,
not
so much our mind.
Starts with the spirit. You can get sick from just your spirit being sick.
It's both.
Spirit,
it's both.
Mind, body, spirit, man.
All three, I guess.
It's called balance, right?
Yeah, it's all three. And so first of all, I'm about to share a link in the chat room in a second here, which is, half of it is Michael Cramo, which, by the way, might be on our show this Friday. The other half, randomly, the other half is Bruce Lipton talking about epigenetics. And to put this, so I'm going to share the link for those of you that have the attention span and the wherewithal to actually go out of your way and actually look up something new and learn something. Good for you. I hope that's why I'm sharing this link, and I hope you watch it. But for those of you that don't quite have that motivation, I'll just tell it to you very briefly now. Bruce Lipton, all right, I just put the link in the chat room there. By the way, that's Ancient Knowledge, episode 4.5. So there you go. So Bruce Lipton, he was teaching genetics at if any of you remember which university that was, please tell me.
I read his book so long ago, but the important parts, I remember the parts that stuck out to me was the fact that you can change everything about yourself.
Yeah, and so
that we have more inside of us, abilities inside of us that we basically we've forgotten and we've dumbed ourselves down, but basically we've got like the free version rather than the full version.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point that I'm going to get to, but for us, obviously, we know what we're talking about. But for some of the people in the audience that aren't quite caught up to this, I'm going to explain to you what leads up to that conclusion in a way that will make sense. So Bruce Lipton was teaching at a very prestigious university. I forget which one it was, but he was teaching genetics class, for master degrees, like this is a very high level class he was teaching in genetics. But then in his spare time, he discovered what we now call, and what we were just talking about, which is epigenetics. It turns out that because before epigenetics, everybody thought that, for example, my dad was an alcoholic, so I'm going to be one too, right? Because it's genetic. But it turns out, I'm going to put this very bluntly. He did a series of experiments, which I could fully explain to you right now, but it's going to be too much. It's going to take up too much time. It's going to be too boring. But just trust me when I say, and you can look this up if you want. Check the link that I just shared. At the end of the experiment, what he discovered is, you can actually change your DNA on a genetic level. And, and it's up to you. And
they have found out since then.
That's old school, man.
Yeah, I know it is. I know it is for you and me and all of us here. I'm talking to the rest of the audience. Give me a fucking second here. So once he discovered this, it was so conflicting with him teaching the class, because his job was to teach people that genetics are this thing and you can't do anything about it, while in the meantime his research was showing the exact opposite. You can do something about it. And it got to a point where he actually quit his job with no plan. He had no idea what he was going to do. It wasn't he didn't quit his job for something else. He quit his job because he honestly could not lie to his students about what really goes on in genetics. And then from there, eventually he wrote a book, and then he kind of got his shit back on track. But he took a real leap of faith by quitting the most prestigious gig that you could possibly have, in the pursuit of this new information.
Truth. Well, since then they have proven that genetics do have it's our basic thing, but it's our environment, our mental environment, and our physical environment that affects how those genetics work.
Absolutely.
You may have a certain disease in your family, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it. You may have to eat a little differently or do something a little different to compensate for that programming, but you can change that programming. And,
yes.
And a lot of it, the basic lot is what you believe.
It really is. And so to put this, that was the whole part that I skipped, that I didn't want to go into, but now that you bring it up, fuck it. Let's go into it. So to put this in perspective, let's say they took, 4 different samples of, your earlobe, right? They just take 4 different samples and they put them in 4 different environments. Well, according to traditional genetic studies, it doesn't matter where the environment is. Based on your genetics, it is going to develop this type of cancer, or it's going to develop this kind of whatever based on your genetics, right? But it turns out, not only was that not the case, but all of these 4 samples, completely relative to the environment, they developed into other forms of healthy. Well, some of them were not healthy, but some of them were healthy. But the point is, the environment affected the way that these biological things developed, which is, according to traditional genetics, should not have any factor, right? It doesn't matter where you are, you have your genetics. But these studies and these experiments that Bruce Lipton did himself very clearly showed that you can take the exact same cell, the exact same part of your body, or in other words, you could put myself, if you cloned me 3 times and there were 4 of me, you could put me in 4 different environments. One of me would develop this type of cancer, one of me would be fine, the other one would probably be hit by a comet, right? And then the other one would have a stroke, right? So it comes down to the point of, like you said, it really does depend on your environment, and that's
Well, I also think about the belief thing because think about people that you probably do. I know I have that they were perfectly healthy, completely healthy, didn't have a problem. They went in because they sprung their ankle or something, and they go in there and they find out they're full of cancer, and they die like a week later.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that I know that they gave them like 2 weeks to live, and they said no, that's not going to happen. And they literally visualize themselves back into health. I do know that. I watched it with my own parents. They were married for 50 years, and my dad died. My mom, who was a super healthy person, like I think never even got chicken pox when us kids got them or anything like that, and just totally healthy. And he died, and within 2 weeks of him dying, her kidneys failed. Just boom.
Yeah, well, that I feel like yes, but I do feel like in that particular situation, I there's so many examples of when your soulmate dies, you're probably gonna go too.
My mom and dad were married. My mom was 14, and my dad was like 19. They'd never been with anybody else, so it's like one of those rare couples, Yeah,
it
was a gift. It was a blessing, but it was a curse at the same moment because I was looking for that same thing in my life, and that's not something that you just run into on a daily basis,
Yeah, and there are so many fucking examples of this. When one spouse dies, the other one dies either immediately or very quickly.
My father died last April. My mom died 2 months later.
See, exactly, and
they were married. They were married 63 years.
Yeah, my parents, when they died, they were married. They had just celebrated their 62nd.
And that's my point. And there's not only with people, but also with pets. There are so many examples of once their owner dies.
My dad's cat died the same day my dad died.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And there's you can chalk it up to coincidence, but when you really actually look into it and you see how many times this has happened over the last 100 years of medical history, this is beyond coincidence. I mean, there's obviously, very obviously something going on here, and now so.
What do you think about universe? What do you think about synchronicities?
Here's
it's
more than coincidence.
Yeah, my whole life is synchronicities.
That's like asking fate. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to know my answer, or do you want to ask another question?
No. I would like to hear that, please.
Okay. Well, then let me talk. I love you, Dennis. Don't get me wrong, but let me talk. Now, synchronicities, which is what other people that uninitiated or just, not really paying attention, they would call it coincidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
we create our own reality. That's synchronicity. We create our own reality.
Even just...
And then we call it a coloring book in our crayons, man.
Even just earlier today, before this about 1 hour before the show, I texted my ex-girlfriend, which is... I mean, we're better friends now than we were when we were together, to put that in perspective, right? So I talk to her all the time. And right before, I sent her something that I thought she would be, I was like, hey, you should probably listen to this. I think you would really find this fascinating. And then 30 seconds later, she texts me like, holy shit, I was just thinking about you. That's not a coincidence. That's what we call a synchronicity. Just in the same way where I'm sure we've all had this experience where
we're all quantum entangled.
It really is quantum entanglement, which in fact a very big part of the first part of the mini-series that we put out earlier today. That's what a lot of that was about, and so it's kind of once again, here's another synchronicity. We're talking about it now.
Mhm.
So, without
For me,
even trying.
That happens a lot. That happens a lot. Over the last, I'd say, 3 months, it's really ramped up. And
It has, hasn't it? I've
yeah,
noticed that too.
It's because we're that alignment I was talking about. That's in that
Oh,
collapse of
fucking
time.
energy around here.
Bringing it back to that.
Fucking sky
That
high, man.
that's exactly one of the things that they say is going to be happening. Is like the veil between,
Oh fuck.
in a way, it's thin.
That's broke. It's broke for a lot of people, but it's really, really thin. And yeah, right now the energy is very, very high. Very
It's
high.
not broke. It's just that's what's
Yeah.
supposed to be happening.
Well, that's
and-
just
and,
that's just the way it is. You know,
Hold
you
on.
can't fight it.
You can't
Well,
have
yeah,
change
but
without some sort of.
hold
Yeah,
on.
the universe don't give a fuck.
I-
Right? It's just gonna do whatever the fuck it wants. You just got to go with it. you try
I
to.
just think of it this way: the universe, everything in the
Yeah.
universe is set up to can promote life. Even in destruction, it promotes life.
Yeah.
You know what?
that's why we get lessons.
I have to agree. I have to agree with Dennis there. And by that I mean when he said the universe is going in its own direction, and it doesn't give a fuck about you. You can you can either lift up your legs and float down the stream,
whatever.
or you can fight it. Right?
But,
And what persists, what we resist persists.
yep.
And the thing
Another
is
great term,
life,
yeah.
the universe is set up to promote life. So
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Real quick. So, Dan James, who's one of my favorite audience listeners, he always has something good to say, and this is another example of that. So this is he said this a while ago when we were talking about the pineal gland and all of that, but I do want to say what he had to say because it's pretty good. So he says, for years, people have been claiming fluoride added to the water accumulates in the pineal gland more than any other organ and leads to the formation of phosphate crystals, leaving your pineal gland to harden due to the crystal production. Or in other words, it causes your pineal gland to calcify. And that's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's
And,
when was that paper? When was that paper written?
That was Dan James from Australia. He just said that in the comments.
yeah,
When was it? Oh, okay. When was it written? Because that's old news too.
you can decalcify it again.
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
the
well,
medication.
they
I looked at. I didn't have fluoride in my water anyway when I was growing up.
well, it's basically what he's saying is the fluoride in the water is one of the main causes of calcification, but it's really not only that. There's all kinds of, I don't know, go to the store and buy some Oscar Mayer's bologna. That shit's in there too. You know what I mean? It's
and lack of use for lack of exercising it, because it is a one.
It's a crystal.
It is
It's a crystal for fuck's
It's
sake.
a gland that needs to be used. It needs to be transmitted. That's kind of like where you transmit
Right.
and you
It's a
feed.
crystal. It's a crystal. It has to. It
But
needs.
you also,
it
every
vibration.
cell in your body can do that too.
Wait,
Right.
hold on.
I just don't understand, man.
Hold on, Dennis. What are you trying to say? Go ahead, Dennis.
Is that when this quote unquote calcification comes upon the pineal, it disrupts the vibration of the crystal in your little tiny brain.
Yeah.
and so it's called clarification, calcification, right? So you got to clear it.
Interesting.
And it's called grounding. It's called diet. It's called you got to look at like Liana knows these things. Better way to say it than I do. All right, but yeah, this is where that we get transmissions per se, if you want to call it whatever. Like that's what crystals are. Crystal radio. I used to build them when I was a kid.
Yeah. We also have those crystals in our heart, in the nervous system, in our hearts. There's actually more of them there. We also have more connections in your heart than you do in your brain. So you actually have two brains.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've heard
And if you, wow, what a great point. I would love to go more into that. I feel like I'm a little bit too
DJ.
dumb to actually get into it. But I will say that we had Greg Braden rather, on the show last year, and yeah, we talked quite a bit about that. And
he's a nice guy, too.
there's a lot to that. Now, Alan, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, I wanted to make one last point of recent news, a news article I just read. It's of interest to everybody here, I'm sure, and that is that that post I sent you about the earthquake or the volcano in that island off the coast of Australia. It's actually in the Antarctic Sea.
Yeah,
That
and
real rare volcano.
yeah, I didn't. So okay, wait. I mean, isn't that island kind of like pretty far away from the actual
I have
continent?
no idea. I want to
It's
talk.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Hold on,
no one-
Dennis.
no one
Hold
has-
on, Dennis. Go ahead,
No
Alan.
one set foot on that island for the last 30 years.
Right. Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
Now, okay. Now here's the major thing with that whole news story. It's not so much the volcano that's exploding on the island. It's that on the way to the island they used sonar to scan the floor bottom, and they found 50 underwater volcanoes erupting right now, just on their path to that island.
Wow.
That is the major story, but that's going to be covered up.
I'll have to research that.
Okay,
I
well,
will research that.
Well,
will
first of
research.
all, hey, Alan, do you think you
Yes,
can?
sir.
I know you shared me the link already, but I'm not. I've got too many shit going on right now.
Yeah,
Is there any
I will,
way?
I will.
Can you post a link in the chat room, please? Is that
Yeah,
something that you can
after.
do?
I'll put it up in a minute. Okay.
All right, sounds good. So, okay, now
I'll do that
back
for you.
back to Dennis. You obviously had something to say. So, what's going on, Dennis?
Oh no, my train's off the track. Doesn't matter now.
Well, I think it probably does. You had something to say. It must have
I
been.
don't- What was I talking about?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. What
See?
what were you
Yeah,
going
it
to
doesn't
say?
matter.
I feel like it would. Well, you wouldn't have tried to say something if it didn't matter, would you?
Well, if you want me to get it back, it goes like this. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Goes
that's
like
what I'm
this,
saying.
sir.
Let's hear what you had to say.
All right, goes like this. I don't know exactly what the topic or subject of this of your show was tonight.
Oh, there's no topic. We're just hanging out and talking.
Okay, so when are you going to close up the shop?
Oh, good question. In 15 minutes, because
15,
by the way,
okay.
folks, anybody that's listening, Joe Roop, the head honcho over at the French FM, he has his show Lighting the Void, and he has Matt Landman coming on tonight, and he is the he's the Michael.
That's a must watch.
Yeah, he must watch. Absolutely. He's basically he's the Michael Jordan when it comes to exposing what's going on with chemtrails. And even if you have to skip your dinner, I would still recommend you listen to that show first. It's going to be very good. So, but anyway, yeah, we got to wrap up in about 14 minutes. So, with that being said, carry on, Dennis.
I'm very interested, sir, because you do hold a platform and you do have a respectable audience. If you could draw in a couple of individuals that in regards to lucid dreaming, astral travel, out of body experience, and maybe a little bit of I don't know, whatever else.
Yeah.
If you can bring in a couple of dudes like that. That would be very interesting because this was a very informative show. I found it interesting.
Right on. Well,
So-
I appreciate that, and I do appreciate that recommendation also. Really, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because that's more of Joe's thing on his show, Lighting the Void, like I just mentioned. That's the kind of stuff that he talks about all the time. Once in a while, we'll have... We've done a couple of shows about that, but it's just, when it comes to the industry, it's just kind of, who's friends with who and who you know, and it just so happens that I don't know too many of those guys. But Joe,
I'm one of those guys.
If
You're one of those guys. Okay, so I'll keep it.
I'm one of those guys.
oh
I'll
yeah,
keep it-
Alan is one of those guys. Yeah.
I know Alan.
Yes, I am.
I know you are, sir. I'll keep it like this. It goes like this. So with all this talk that we're talking with the pineal gland and all this shit, right? And the freaking damn giants and everything and all this woo-woo stuff, right? So it goes. I like to keep things simple because I'm a simple man. So it goes like this. How is it that people should be acting with each other? Like with the religions fighting each other, the governments fighting each other, all this shit, man. Is like, are we humans supposed to be doing this shit?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah. So I'm just asking before, that's my last question. So you guys bring it out with that.
Well, I second that question. So who's got an answer?
Please, your perspective. Bring your perspective.
Yeah,
you guys always seem to want to kill each other.
Well, you know what? I would highly recommend you look up. Are you Dennis? Are you familiar with a man named Cliff High?
Nope.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, that's. I'm about to send you down a rabbit hole of the question that you just asked, that you just opened yourself up to by asking that question. I will send you some links. In fact, I'm talking with his manager. I'm still back and forth with his manager, but
hey, you got Liana and me on the line. Hey, I'll interview the dude. If I can interview all these dudes that you're mentioning, man. For sure, 100%, straight the fuck up.
I'm sure you could, but this guy is. We've been trying to track him down for about 6 months. We finally got in touch with him, and he's actually going to come on the show.
All right, what does he do?
Probably next month sometime. We haven't quite worked it out yet, but I'm gonna send you. Hey, Dennis, can you? Because I'm probably gonna forget. So just if you could message me, either on Discord or.
No, I don't have time for that, man.
All right, well then I'll just try to remember. But I'm trying to tell you that you would love
Liana,
what this
if you
guy
grab
has
that name,
to say.
please. Liana's my producer.
I wasn't paying attention. I was.
What's the guy's name? Liana. This is the guy.
Okay, I'm gonna put his name in chat.
What's
his name is Cliff High with one F.
Cliff High
with one F. I just put it in the chat.
And this guy is pertinent to me in what regard?
In just about everything you just asked about. And he's also.
Sorry, Liana. I don't mean to you're my secretary.
No, I was just looking for a pen.
Yeah, no, just listen. Cliff High. I will. Once I get a chance, I will send you a link, Dennis, to his channel. He's actually it's kind of weird because he's very popular in our community, but at the same time, nobody ever has him on their shows.
Okay.
And,
okay. You got to give me a background on the guy because you're losing minutes. You're losing seconds right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have enough minutes to even do that. So, like I said, I will send you. I'll send you a link. My regular co-host Darren, he just sent me a whole playlist of all of his most recent talks, and I think if anybody, you, Dennis, would be very fascinated by what he's talking about and what he's talking about that's going on right now. And,
I'll interview him, no fucking problem. I'll put him on for 2 hours, no problem, man.
Yeah, and I hope you can. Yeah, no, he's a really he's one of the most epic guys out there right now, spreading some real knowledge. That's definitely look him up, and like I said, we're gonna have him on the show in the next month or two. But yeah, so there goes that, and so anyway, I guess we're gonna kind of start trying to wrap this up because, like I said, Lighting the Void is about to go on. I don't want to cut into their show, and plus Matt Landman is on the show, so I want to listen, and in fact, I'm probably going to call in at some point. So if you guys want to stick around for that, just go to thefringe.fm, and the show starts in about 8 minutes, and you can hear the show there. Or, of course, you can just go to Spreaker, look up Light in the Void, and all that good stuff. So before we go, let's go one at a time here. I'm just going to go from left to right. Alan, are there any links, any social media, any websites, anything that you want to promote right now before you leave?
Are you talking to me, Gigi?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
There is one website on YouTube. It's called My Lord and God. It's MLORD and God. This lady is from Greece, and she comes up with some first-class information.
Okay, but that's not quite your... That's not your thing, though, is it?
She's a conspiracy nut.
Okay, well, we'll take that in place of your own information. Are you sure you don't have anything that you want people to, do you want people to follow you or friend you?
Yeah,
on...
about yourself, man.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, absolutely, I have something.
All right,
say it.
Well, that was the question. So yeah, let them have it.
I was standing. I walked away from the phone. I was in the kitchen for a second. Yeah. I didn't hear the question. But anyway, yes, I do have something to share. Very important something to share.
No. Just links and social media contacts and things like that. In other words, where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
Oh.
Right?
They can find me at Alan Karcher on Facebook, or they can find me at Alan R.A. Karcher on YouTube, on Twitter.
All right, there you go. Thanks, Alan. And next up is Daryl. I don't know if do you have any links that you want to share, or any way that anybody can get in touch with you?
If I could get some followers on YouTube, that would be great. If I could get monetized, I'm Daryl Perrier. If you just look up Daryl Perrier, you'll
spelling.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to spell that.
Perrier like the water. DARYL.
Daryl.
Wait, hold on. Everybody, shush. Please.
I can put a link. I'll put a link also in the chat room as well.
Yeah, but most
just
people,
like anything.
Listen, most people are only listening to the audio. So for the audio listeners, can you please spell out your YouTube channel? Sure,
it's under Daryl Perrier, like the Perrier water. DARYL. PERRIER.
All right.
I guess at YouTube or something like that. But you'll find me.
All right. Okay? Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then Dennis, you're next. I know you don't give a shit about this kind of shit, but just in case, do you care to give out any links?
No, I have nothing. My name is Dennis Deitch. On Facebook, I'm a construction worker in Toronto.
That's exactly what I thought you would say. All right, good deal. Now, Leah, God damn it, I'm about to mispronounce your name again.
It's okay. It's Liana Giovanoni.
Liana. All right.
And
where can they find you?
On Facebook or on Discord.
How's your foot doing?
but where on Facebook or Discord?
Under Liana Giovanoni on Facebook, or I also have a page on Facebook, Petite White Lions artwork, and Petite White Lion Studios. That's what I got, and Petite Lion 1207 at AOL.com. Email me there.
Okay, there we go. That was a little tough getting through that. But we got through it. So, hey, all three of you.
Say goodbye to Sky, Gigi.
Yeah, thank all of you guys so much for joining us tonight. Obviously, we had a pretty rough start at the beginning, but I think we talked about a lot of important things through the course of the show. So, thank all of you so much for coming on, and definitely everybody check these guys out at their correlating links. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. I gotta cue this thing up here. Where did it go? All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Shift Happens. Well, this has been B-Sides and Rarities, I guess. Produced by Shift Happens. This show was hosted and produced and everything else. I'll just save your time and just say that everything was done by me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back. We are going to do another B-Side episode tomorrow with... actually, you know what? I'm just going to surprise you. How about that? All right? So stay tuned, and then we're going to have Micah Hanks is coming on this Friday for our main show. Micah Hanks from the Gralien Report over there at KJRA. And with that, I'm out of here, folks. And if you're following along, go ahead and join me in listening to Lighting the Void coming up right now on the Fringe FM. All right, folks. We'll see you guys sooner than later. Cheers, everyone.